Good afternoon, students. Yesterday we have started the chapter The Cold War Era and Non-aligned movement. Now we are going to continue the chapter. What was the Cold War? The Cold War was more than a political war. Cold War was more of a political war than an actual military war. It was not a military war or the shooting war. I told you yesterday it was a ideological war between the two groups, USA and USSR. Now USSR, its full form is Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, which was dominated by Russia, and it was USA, United States of America, dominated by America. So there was a political war between these two groups. One was dominated by the America and second was by the Russia. Now the Cold War time period we discussed yesterday. It was from 1945 to 1991. Cold War finished with the disintegration of this USSR, which was dominated by Russia. Now there were series of tensions and problems between these years from after the Second World War till the disintegration of the USSR. One of the same problem which occurred here, we are going to start one of this problem during the Cold War was the Cuban Missile Crisis, which is given in your books. Cuban Missile Crisis. Now what was that? Cuba was a small island nation off the coast of US. In 1962, Nikita Gorbachev, the leader of the Soviet Union, decided to place nuclear weapons in Cuba. Where it was? Cuban island. It was at the off coast of the USA. In 1961-62, Nikita Gorbachev, who was the leader of USSR that time? Nikita Gorbachev. Now the leader of the Soviet Union decided to place nuclear weapons in Cuba, which put US under fire from the close range. US President Kennedy, that time who was the president of USA? John Kennedy, right? So was not willing for a full-scale nuclear war because they already knew about the destruction which caused in the Second World War. So they were not ready for the full-scale nuclear war. But for the safer sides of this country, he was determined to get Gorbachev to remove the missiles and nuclear weapon from Cuba. When Kennedy ordered American warships to intercept any Soviet ship heading to the Cuba as a way of the warning the USSR of this seriousness, then it seemed as if war could definitely come into existence. This is known as the Cuban Missile Crisis. When the tension rose between the USA and USSR, because who deployed the missiles? To see the USA. So in that problem, both the superpowers resolved the matter verbally, and thus word was saved from the Third World War. Cuban Missile Crisis 1961 was the most challenging year of the Cold War. इस तरह के कई सारे इंसिडेंट्स हैं when they were opposed each other, USA and USSR. One of the serious was the Cuban Missile Crisis. So this government was unrooted. So the Cuban Missile Crisis was the most challenging year for the Cold War. America even supported corrupt governments in order to stop communism. So this government was uprooted by the Fidel Castro in 1959. Castro took help from the USSR in order to become free from the control of America. America tried to enter in Cuba in order to become free from the control of America, because USA was dominated by the socialist ideas. They believe only in one political party, Communist Party. There were no any existence of any other political party, and all the resources controlled by the government only. So we'll continue this tomorrow. Till then you have to read this page.